They don't respect the one who stays, not the one who forgives, not the one who explains, not the one who keeps giving chances, hoping they'll finally see your worth. They respect the one who disappears. No tears, no anger, just silence, a calm colder than steel. And suddenly, the world rearranges itself around your absence. Not because you threatened them, but because you no longer needed them. This world doesn't reward kindness. It rewards boundaries. It respects the man or woman who can walk away without flinching. You thought patience was a virtue, but in the eyes of the manipulator, it's a green light, a signal that says, I can step on you and you'll still stay. The illusion of love and the addiction of lust. Lust isn't just about the body. It hides behind the swipe, the unread message, the like you crave as if it were oxygen. You thought it was love, but it was addiction dressed in sweet words and dopamine. Machiavelli once said, if you cannot be both loved and feared, then choose to be feared. This isn't about teaching you how to be loved. It's about teaching you how to be impossible to ignore. It's about walking away so silently, so confidently, that your absence becomes the loudest thing they hear, the pain of being too available. Have you ever sat in a room with someone you cared about and felt completely invisible? Like your presence was a convenience, your silence expected, your kindness nothing but background noise? You showed up, you forgave, you stayed up late just to listen, you answered quickly, you gave without keeping score. And yet, you were the one forgotten first, the one blamed last, the one whose loyalty was never reciprocated. Not because you weren't good enough, but because you were too available. That's the pain no one talks about, not heartbreak, but slow erosion, the daily draining of dignity in exchange for the illusion of connection. You tried harder, you opened up, you gave more of yourself, hoping that someday they'd finally see you. But they never did. And deep down, you started asking the question you swore you'd never ask. What's wrong with me? Nothing. That's the first truth you need to hear. There is nothing wrong with you. The problem was never your heart. It was your threshold. It was the fact that you never made people pay for disrespecting you. And when people don't pay, they don't value. They take, they test, they push until they find no resistance. And then they walk away with everything you gave, while calling you the weak one, the cruelty of conditioning. Here's what stings the most. You knew. You saw the red flags. You heard the excuses. You felt the shift. But you stayed because deep inside, you thought staying was proof of strength, that maybe if you endured a little more, it would all mean something. You weren't being patient. You were being conditioned. Conditioned to chase clarity, to over-explain, to prove your worth. And every time you did, you trained them to stop respecting you. Let that sink in. Every unanswered message, every time they push you away and you leaned in closer, every time you let your silence be filled with self-doubt instead of boundaries, you were teaching them a dangerous lesson. I'll stay, no matter what you do. And they believed you. Not because they're evil, not because they're broken, but because they live in a world that rewards leverage over love, power over presence. And you, with your open heart and open hands, were an easy target in a battlefield disguised as a relationship. The shift from begging to becoming. But that ends now. This isn't a story about how others broke you. It's a story about how you'll stop handing them the hammer. Because underneath all that pain, all that exhaustion, is a fire, a quiet rage that doesn't want revenge. It wants clarity. It wants sovereignty. It wants peace without permission. And the first step? Name what really happened. They didn't love you. They used your fear of being unloved. They didn't value you. They consumed your attention like fuel. They weren't confused. They were calculating. And when someone realizes they can control your emotions with distance, they'll keep pulling away just to keep you chasing. You think you're fighting for connection, but you're feeding a system designed to keep you emotionally starving. The only way to break the cycle, the only way to break it is to do the one thing they never expected. Disappear. No speech, no explanation, no closure, just stillness, like a door that closes slowly, quietly, but locks from the inside. Why you stayed when you knew better? Let's go deeper. Why is it that even when you know someone is hurting you, you stay? Why do you ignore the warning signs? Why do you give them the benefit of the doubt, even when it costs you your peace? It's not stupidity. It's not weakness. It's programming. The human brain isn't wired for clarity. It's wired for survival. And in childhood, many of us learn the same dangerous rule. If I'm good enough, they'll stay. So what happens? You become the pleaser, the fixer, the over-explainer. You internalize rejection as a reflection of your worth, not their character. And you develop a trauma bond, not a connection. A loop, pain, hope, craving, reward, withdrawal, repeat. It's not a relationship. It's a chemical addiction. The dopamine hits every time they pull you close. The cortisol spikes every time they disappear. The brain doesn't recognize betrayal. It only recognizes a cycle. And it's the cycle that keeps you stuck, not love, not compatibility, just familiarity. The trap of intermittent reinforcement. But here's the trap. The more unpredictable someone is, the more addictive they become. When they alternate between warmth and cold, between validation and silence, they hijack your nervous system. They don't even have to be toxic on purpose. The pattern alone is powerful enough. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement, the same method used in casinos. You don't win every time. You win just enough to keep you pulling the lever. And when you finally walk away, your body doesn't feel free. It feels empty because chaos became comfort. Neglect became normal. And silence became something you feared instead of something you used. The modern manipulation playbook. Here's where it gets darker. Modern systems know this. Social media is engineered to keep you craving notifications like message delays. All of it mirrors emotional manipulation. They don't want you fulfilled. They want you scrolling, yearning, comparing, consuming. Because a person who is whole doesn't need what they're selling. Machiavelli didn't write about Instagram, but he understood the core law of control. Men are driven by two things, fear and desire. Control the craving, control the man. And in a world where every platform, product, and person is trying to seduce your attention, craving is the new currency, which means discipline is the new rebellion. To step back, to be silent, to not need them, that's terrifying to manipulators. Because now they can't predict you. They can't play you. They can't extract anything from you. When you stop chasing, they lose their power. The paradox of validation. But here's the catch. You have to unlearn the instinct to chase, not just in love, but in life. Because most people don't fear being alone. They fear being invalidated. They fear not being chosen, not being noticed, not being seen. But the paradox is this. The more you beg to be seen, the more invisible you become. The more you explain your worth, the more you discount it. Respect doesn't live in justification. It lives in energy, presence, silence. And that's what they fear most. Not your words, not your feelings, not your pain. They fear your absence. Because in that stillness, they can no longer control the narrative. They can no longer minimize you. They can no longer use your need for clarity against you. The sovereign shift. So what do? You stop broadcasting. You reclaim your mystery. You learn to live without updates, replies, apologies, or closure. Because once you stop explaining yourself, you start becoming undeniable. The 6 mistakes that keep you stuck. Let's call out. The reason most people keep getting hurt isn't because they're stupid. It's because they're too kind in the wrong context. It starts with belief. A belief that if you just love hard enough, prove yourself enough, explain yourself clearly enough, they'll finally get it. They'll finally change. They'll finally respect you. But they don't. Because the truth is harsh. People don't respect what's always available. Here's where good people go wrong. 1. Thinking love can fix dysfunction. You give and give, not realizing your love isn't healing them. It's enabling them. 2. Over-explaining your worth. Long texts, emotional breakdowns. All they see is desperation. 3. Waiting for closure from the one who caused the damage. Closure is a trap. You don't need their understanding. You need your decision. 4. Confusing presence with peace. Just because they're still there doesn't mean they care. 5. Making excuses for disrespect. Repeated behavior is a decision, not a mistake. 6. Thinking silence means peace. Silence without boundaries isn't strength. It's surrender. The Machiavellian mindset. Machiavelli didn't teach people to hope. He taught them to observe, calculate, act from clarity, not emotion. He would say, a ruler must be both fox and lion, cunning enough to see the trap and strong enough to tear through it. Right now, you've been neither. You've been the lamb, gentle, available. And what happens to the lamb in a world full of wolves? It gets studied, it gets used, it gets forgotten. But here's the twist. The lamb can evolve. It can learn. It can shed the skin of sacrifice and grow the gaze of a sovereign. And it starts by doing the one thing you've been afraid to do. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop staying. The power of walking away. You've been told to be good, to be kind, to be fair, to treat others the way you want to be treated. But Machiavelli wrote a different scripture, one not for saints, but for survivors. He didn't write for the man who wants to be liked. He wrote for the man who wants to last. It is better to be feared than to be loved. If you cannot be both, let that settle in. In a world where people interpret silence as weakness, kindness as access, and love as leverage, Machiavelli didn't sugarcoat human nature. He exposed it. He saw how flattery deceives, how appearance overrides substance, and how those who overshare intentions are the first to be outmaneuvered. His most brutal insight? Men judge more by the eyes than by the hands. Translation: perception is stronger than truth. If you look predictable, you will be manipulated. If you speak too much, you will be outplayed. If you let people know what moves you, what scares you, what keeps you attached, you've handed them the blueprint for your destruction. The final shift. This isn't pessimism. It's psychological warfare. And you've been losing it because you thought virtue alone was protection. It's not. Machiavelli understood. Kindness without calculation is suicide. Forgiveness without boundary is an invitation for repeated betrayal. He wasn't saying to be cruel. He was saying to be strategic. Because the people you're trying to reason with, many of them aren't reasoning with you. They're reading you. Your tells, your tone, your silence. You think you're expressing your heart. But what you're doing is broadcasting emotional vulnerabilities to an audience that may not have your well-being in mind. The art of becoming unforgettable. That's why Machiavelli admired restraint. He praised a ruler who could act without explaining, who could strike without warning. He said, the vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances. A wise prince never keeps flatterers close. All of it circles back to this. Power is not found in noise. It's found in what you withhold, in your ability to observe without reacting, to feel deeply yet reveal nothing, to love fully yet lose nothing of yourself in the process. The sovereign presence. Imagine walking into a room and not needing to be liked, not needing to be seen, not needing to explain yourself to anyone. That is freedom, not just freedom from others, freedom from your own compulsions, from a need to prove, to chase, to please. When you no longer fear being misunderstood, you become untouchable. Because the world is full of people trying to control perception, trying to dominate through emotional chaos, trying to get your reaction, your reply, your explanation, so they can feel powerful. But when you remain still, when you disappear without a single word, you become what Machiavelli called a sovereign, not a pawn, not a preacher, a presence. And presence, when properly wielded, commands attention without asking, demands respect without force, reveals nothing but causes others to question everything. The final truth. This isn't about revenge. It's about remembering who you were before you started begging. Because power, real power, isn't about dominance. It's about self-possession. And when people feel that in you, when they realize your peace cannot be purchased, your silence cannot be broken, and your presence is no longer accessible, they don't just miss you. They fear you, not because you harmed them, but because you're now beyond their reach, beyond their control, beyond the narrative they once wrote about you. And that is what Machiavelli understood better than anyone. He didn't ask you to become cold. He asked you to become clear. Clear in your standards, clear in your detachment, clear in your ability to love and still walk away. The last step. Now go. Walk slowly. Walk silently. Walk sovereign. Let them feel what they thought they'd never lose. Because the moment you stopped explaining, you became unforgettable. The moment you stopped begging, you became dangerous. And the moment you stopped offering access, you became royalty. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. Your absence will echo louder than their noise ever did. The unbreakable silence. Why walking away is the ultimate power move. They don't miss you when you're there. They miss you when you're gone. Not because you begged for their attention, not because you demanded their respect, but because you left without a word. Silence isn't weakness. It's a weapon. And the moment you master it, you become untouchable. The psychology of disappearing. Why does absence hurt more than anger? Because anger is predictable. It's loud, messy, emotional. It gives them a script to follow, a role to play. But silence? Silence is unreadable. It leaves them scrambling, wondering, replaying every interaction, searching for clues that don't exist. You used to explain. You used to justify. You used to plead for understanding. But now, you're gone. And in that emptiness, they finally feel you, the art of strategic withdrawal. This isn't about playing games. It's about rewriting the rules. When you disappear, you break the addiction cycle. No more dopamine hits from their crumbs of attention. You force a reckoning. They either step up or fade out. No middle ground. You reclaim your energy. Every second spent chasing them was a second stolen from yourself. Most people can't walk away because they're terrified of the void. But here's the secret. The void is where your power is born. The 3 stages of true detachment. 1, the withdrawal. Oh, you stop initiating. Oh, you stop reacting. Oh, you stop feeding the dynamic. 2, the silence. Oh, no last words. Oh, no dramatic exit. Oh, just absence. 3, the transformation. Oh, they reach out, you're indifferent. Oh, they test you, you don't bite. Oh, they realize you've moved on. Why this works every time. People only value what they risk losing. If you've always been there, always forgiving, always available, then to them, you're not a person. You're a resource. But when you remove yourself, suddenly, they're forced to confront 2 brutal truths. 1, you were never the problem. 2, they took you for granted. And by then, it's too late. The final lesson. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. Not the lover who ignored you. Not the friend who betrayed you. Not the family member who underestimated you. Your peace is non-negotiable. Your energy is priceless. And your absence? It's the loudest message you'll ever send. So let them sit with it. Let them marinate in the silence. And while they're scrambling to decipher your disappearance, you'll already be free. The unshakable code, living beyond their reach. You are not a beggar. You are not an option. You are not a placeholder for someone else's indecision. You are a force, silent, unmoved, and utterly beyond negotiation. And the moment you truly know that, the world rearranges itself around you. The day you stop caring is the day you win. They expect you to break. They expect you to crawl back. They expect you to need them more than you need your own dignity. But then, something shifts. You wake up one morning and realize you don't check their social media anymore. You don't rehearse conversations in your head. You don't flinch when their name pops up. That's when you know you've outgrown them. And the best part? They feel it too. The reversal of power, when your absence becomes their problem. People only chase what runs away. They only respect what refuses to stay. They only see you when you're no longer looking back. So let them chase. Let them wonder. Let them regret. Because the ultimate revenge isn't hatred. It's indifference. And when they finally realize they lost you, you won't even remember why they mattered. The unbothered mindset. How make silence your superpower? 1, stop announcing your moves. Oh, the less they know, the less they can manipulate. 2, stop reacting to their breadcrumbs. Oh, hey stranger. Text deserves the same energy as a spam email. None. 3, stop waiting for closure. Oh, your peace is the only closure you need. Silence isn't emptiness, it's control. And the quieter you become, the more they panic. The final upgrade, when you become the one who got away. One day, they'll tell stories about you. They'll say, I never really knew them. They just disappeared. I wonder what they're doing now. And you? You'll be long gone, living a life so full, so free, that their memory can't even touch you. Because the greatest power isn't in making them miss you. It's in making sure they never forget what they lost. Now walk away and never look back. This isn't goodbye. It's an evolution. You were never theirs to keep. You were always your own. So let the silence speak for you. Let the absence do the work. Let them live with the ghost of what they took for granted. And when they finally understand what they've lost, be so far ahead, you can't even hear their regrets. This is your rebirth. This is your power. This is your life, on your terms. Now go, and never apologize for choosing yourself. The Sovereign Protocol, how to live untouchable. You were never meant to beg for a seat at tables that should have been honored to have you. The moment you internalize this truth, the entire game changes. Because you stop playing by their rules and start enforcing your own. The anatomy of true power. 1. The glitch in their system. Oh, they're used to you reacting. Oh, they're used to you negotiating your worth. Oh, they're used to you shrinking to fit their comfort. Oh, then one day, you don't. Oh, that's when their entire framework for how to treat you collapses. 2. The silent recalibration. Oh, no announcements. Oh, no dramatic exits. Oh, just a quiet but irreversible shift in energy. Oh, they'll feel before they understand it. Like the air changing before a storm. 3. The aftermath. Oh, they test a sudden miss you text. Oh, you don't respond, not out of spite, but irrelevance. Oh, that's when they realize they no longer have access to you. The unspoken rules of emotional sovereignty. 1. Never explain a boundary twice. The first time, a courtesy. The second time, an insult to yourself. If they didn't respect it the first time, they didn't want to. 2. Let them assume you've moved on, even if you haven't yet. The fastest way to detach is to act attached until it becomes real. Your silence isn't a tactic. It's a transition. 3. Make your absence the loudest thing in the room, not by announcing it, but by living so fully without them that their relevance becomes obvious. The inversion of power. When you become the ghost they can't shake, they'll try to pull you back in, not because they miss you, but because they miss how you made them feel about themselves. The ego boost of your attention, the comfort of your predictability, the security of your emotional labor. But now, you're a closed door, a deleted number, a silhouette they can't quite make out anymore. And that uncertainty is what will haunt them. The final stage, when you stop being a character in their story and become the author of your own. One day, you'll wake up and realize you don't wonder what they're doing. You don't care if they've changed. You don't need them to regret losing you, because you're too busy building a life where their absence was the best gift they ever gave you. That's the ultimate win, not their regret, not their apology, your freedom. Now execute the exit. 1. Stop checking. 2. Stop hoping. 3. Stop keeping a space for them in your mind. Walk away so completely that when they finally think to look back, you're already light years ahead. This is how you win, not by fighting, but by outgrowing. Now go. The rest of your life is waiting.